When I was in South Africa as a single guy, we know SA now. We know how.
Yes,
we know how.
we
know
know.
what
God bless
South
Africa, by the way.
we know about South Africa babes.
Yeah.
And Nigerian men.
What's up, y'all? It's your favorite podcast, Men, and you can see here we have a special guest here with us on Menisms podcast. My name is Michael Scenario.
And I'm Muriel Welgunkoya, and then our guest is
Daniel Etim-Effiong.
So tell the
the
people,
superstar.
tell the people about you, like what you do for people that may not know you. Who are you?
All right. I'm an actor. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a storyteller. I run a production company called Blue Graffiti Films. We do corporate videos, TV commercials, documentary films, and we are hoping to go into full-time Nollywood next year. So fingers crossed.
Okay. All right. So, do you want to tell the people where to maybe Instagram, where to find,
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Etim-Effiong, on Twitter at Etim-Effiong _. That's about it. I think.
Okay.
All right, so we have one rule on Menisms for every guest here. You have to be yourself. It's a very open podcast. We don't ask any embarrassing questions. No, well, it could be embarrassing, but nothing intentionally embarrassing. But like I said, it's just chilled, open vibes. So be yourself.
Yeah.
I'll try.
All right, so go ahead, though. I'll let you start it off.
All right. So, first again, I'm a fan, right? So, I think I mentioned that before we started the episode. And, I have seen a few of your movies and, spot on, performances. But I guess what we really want to, everybody knows you on camera. We've seen what we've seen on camera. But what we really want to know now is, so give us a bit of background.
Okay.
What was life before the acting?
Okay.
How did you navigate into acting? Just a bit of that.
Right. My background is in chemical engineering. I am an oil and gas guy, spent a couple of years there, but my passion is in storytelling and performances, entertainment. So at some point, I had to decide because I was trying to carry both worlds together. But at some point, I had to decide that what's going to give, So I spoke to my mentor and he was like, look, you have to decide on what you want. At the time, I believe he was trying to make me, ditch entertainment and make me focus on being a serious,
of course,
being serious and make me focus on engineering. But I went back and I was like, I had to ask myself the tough questions, at the end of my life. And I look back, what do I want from life? What do I want to be remembered for? What do I want as my legacy? And I chose entertainment. I chose storytelling. I chose acting, so I quit my engineering job and delved full time into entertainment.
Where were you working?
Well, I worked several oil and gas firms. I went from ExxonMobil to Delta Afrique to Kakasa. I was in design engineering, so I'd go offshore. I was a process engineer. If you know oil and gas, I was in process engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did your parents take this now? Because the way you are saying this now was just like, I was an engineer. I'm just like, this is a Nigerian parent's dream right now that they're here. Just like, you left it for acting. But how are your parents like?
So did you have the typical, the typical one?
Obviously.
You best not be thinking about that. It's
Exactly.
a fleeting dream. Forget about it. Did you have that same?
Yeah. My journey with entertainment didn't just start, recently. I've been, as a child, I was acting in school, in church, all of that.
Okay.
And in uni, I was heavily involved in acting. And because I used to do shows, I used to have a group called Slink, Stage Lights Incorporated. And so at that point, I said, when I was in uni, I said, you know what, maybe I should just go back and, write jam again and start,
something in the
arts.
arts.
Yeah, something in the arts, restart my life. And I had shared it with my parents at the time and they were like, oh, you're crazy, I'm the last of 4 kids. So my older brothers were like 10 years and 12
I've already
years.
set the pedestal for that.
Yeah. And those are the guys, they're in the corporate world, and they had this plan for me, and they were like, no man, Daniel, you must be smoking ganja or something, or so you must be off somewhere. Go back to the drawing board, be serious, and get back to school. And I listened at the time. Long journey, lots of things happened in my journey, but I went back, finished school, and then started to work in oil and gas. But it wasn't fulfilling for me, I was getting paid, but I didn't find fulfillment. So I decided to try again, but this time I didn't tell anyone about it. I just quit my job first and then told people after the fact.
Right.
And they were shocked, they were afraid, they were worried. But I guess, when I jumped off the cliff, I soared, and that initial apprehension sort of like gave way to respect and admiration from my family members. Right. So, and the thing is really, if you don't go back to them asking for money all the time, when they see that you can take care of yourself, they let you be. Yeah. So that's right. My story.
I mean, so that's good. And now everybody has a background of, we now know who Daniel is, right? So I think let's dive a little deeper. Mm-hmm. So of course, in the course of this, you must have had situations where, apart from your parents or even society, you had other things, defining what. Because even if you're going to go into entertainment, did you just go straight into acting? Were there other aspects? Did you have to, how people say they have to set stones before they can step on and then move to the next level? Did you have to do any of that?
Well, yeah. So I was coming from the corporate world and I wanted to go into entertainment. So, but I was intelligent enough to know that, or smart enough to know that I had to plan, I had to come up with a strategy. Yeah. And coming from the family I was coming from, I had to do my homework. No one would just, at some point they'll probably send police to catch you or something and put you in, because my dad is was in the army, he's a retired military officer. Okay, yeah. So I see how that is to navigate. Yeah, so I had to come up with a plan, and the plan was that I would get a 9-to-5 in entertainment, and then use that as like a stepping stone. Really good. Yes, use that as a stepping stone, because people have passion, but passion without direction will get you in trouble. And so that's what I did. I had a plan and to execute, and so I got a job, a 9-to-5 within Danny TV. At the time, I was a content producer. That was my first real gig after engineering. So I got a 9-to-5 within Danny TV as a content producer. I was there for about a year, and I decided to go to South Africa to study film. So I went to SA after film school to study writing and directing. And I was there for about 3 years. When I went to South Africa, I was studying, but, it happens that I was working at the same time, so I was working as an actor, as a model, and a filmmaker. So it's sort of like just blossomed. That's how you're on the right path. When you take a step and it opens up, you might not see the full picture, but you take one step and things open up. You take another step and they open up, So that's what was happening to me. And it so happened that the agency I was working with at the time would fly me to Nigeria to make TV commercials for them in Nigeria. That just opened up the Nigerian market for me. So I met my wife, and I met and fell in love with my now wife, and decided, to come back home. That's when I really started to act in Nollywood, when I came back from South Africa.
So even now that you just mentioned your wife, I think that was the stage we're going to jump to next.
Yes, that's exactly.
We did have another question about work, but like you mentioned your wife, we'll jump into this. So obviously you're in the entertainment scene, before you said you met your wife, and for those of us, some people that work in the entertainment scene, there's a lot of distractions.
Like himself,
there's a lot of himself. No comment. No comment.
Are you a distraction?
No comment. Family show. But what I mean is, like, again, I'm sure you navigated your way, working, but also there were distractions like women, dating, and all. So before meeting your wife, what was single Daniel like? And then how did your now wife, how was she able to get you to just say, "Oh, Mom, I'm leaving"? Because, like you said, when you met her is when you said you want to be here. How did that? What did she do, or how did she stand out? That you really say.
Last question is: did you actually even meet her through entertainment?
So I guess
because you might have been mixing work and pleasure.
How did you meet her?
We want to hear that.
What was the determining factor? Like, you want her?
Right. So, believe it or not, I'm a man of faith. And I believe in timing. I believe in seasons. So at the time, when I was in South Africa as a single guy, we know SA now. We know how. Yes, we know how. You know what? God bless Africa, by the way. We know about South African babes. Yeah. And Nigerian men. Yeah. So it was it was an interesting time in my life. I was just, living the dream, young, good looking, talented
attention from
young man.
women, yeah.
And, I was in and out of a lot of relationships. I had babes, all over the place. And I guess I was just tired of that life. I was tired of waking up with
a different person
every morning.
Can't keep a chain of communication.
Right.
We've been there. We've all been there.
Yeah.
And I was just exhausted, and I started to desire some different kind of intimacy and something more stable. And I think that season of my life just culminated with meeting my now wife. She had hit me up on Instagram and said,
"Wow, she shot her shot." How you guys
she had said, hey, Daniel, I'm a big fan of your work. I think we should do a project together. At the time, she was in New York Film Academy, NIFA.
Okay. So you guys are in the same industry?
Yes, pretty much. And although she was more she was studying to be a producer.
Okay, more on the production line.
Yeah. So more of production management and all of that, business of of entertainment, and I was a performer, director, writer, all of that. So so we started talking on Instagram, and it so happened that Indani TV at the time was flying me back to Nigeria to feature in Giddy Up season 3. I think it was at the time. And she was also flying back to be on that same set as a production manager. Wow. And
so you guys met at work.
And then we met,
right,
physically. And it was, and the rest is history.
Okay.
And how long have you been married now?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
So that says now you guys send that DM. Not to the married man, please. To the people that are single, don't send a DM to a married man. Thank you very much. So, but yeah, shoot your shot. It works. There's evidence right here. So yeah.
So I think you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah. So now that you've given us a background of your career journey and of course your relationship journey, a summary basically, right? Now I imagine other people have this question as well, right? But then this is my own personal question. If they're ready, they can ask it in their own time. So my own question now is, we know you're good looking, right? The industry knows you're good looking.
Really?
They do. So now, do you think your good looks have helped you with the journey you've been on? Maybe in acceleration, maybe in some things that would have been difficult for other people, but physically, basically, have you had fine boy privilege?
I would say yes. I wouldn't lie about it. I had no hand in the way I was created.
Fair enough.
I just happened to be created in this way. Are there privileges to it? Absolutely. I have a great smile. I've heard, and and that helps. But also it can be
detrimental.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. You have to know how to use it. Also, they're fine boys. There are people you look at on the streets and you're like, oh, okay, that's a good-looking guy, but what's he doing? With it,
the actual performance
exactly.
Is it really giving people, what it's supposed to?
But it's a privilege. I'll own up to that, and it does opens doors.
Yes.
But when you get in, you have to decide what you're going to do. You have to decide, if you're going to stay in. When your good looks opens the door for you.
Would you say? I had two questions. Would you say marriage now, for example? Would you say, obviously, generally you love your wife, you met her, but would you say that was one of the reasons you decided to get married at the point of life you did, so that way those distractions, like you said, or getting in the door, it's sort of easier to make certain decisions as you progress?
Oh, absolutely. At the time I married because I wanted to have more structure in my life. I wanted a certain kind of relationship. So it was a yearning for me to be with someone to build with and someone to share my success, share, life with, but I don't think I was thinking strategically about how to ward off, distractions at the time. I just wanted something and I went for it. But it turns out that, being married just helps. First of all, it
creates a wall.
Yeah, it shields you off certain people that have, conscience. They'll see fine boy and they'll be like, this guy,
you don't marry,
but he's married,
Yeah.
So those category of people, it saves you from that kind of distraction. On the flip side, and there are also people that say, you're married, I know you're married, but I'm still coming for you.
Yes.
But you now have to help yourself with the fact that you're married. So you also, build that defense mechanism or put that boundary in place, because you're married. You don't want trouble. You care about your marriage. You want to protect people you love and things that you love. I mean, it's an institution that you willingly got into, so you must try your possible best, however hard it is, to protect it, because you know the benefits of being married.
Would you say that you've lost roles because you're married? Like maybe they say you're like, yeah, we like him, but that married man energy he's giving is not doing.
I wouldn't say roles. I don't think I've lost a role because I was ever married, because I'm so good at what I do that when I hear action, I'm able to
actually be the character
that you want, But I would say there are some opportunities that brands would rather prefer single men.
Right.
I think, and I think that I've lost out of those deals, but also what I've lost in those deals I've gained in other deals, because there are brands as well that look specifically for stably married men.
And you saying that now is making me think of how I first saw you, because when I met you the first time, I only saw one thing, which was Men's Club. And I told everybody about Men's Club because I never watched Nigerian series or that. It was during lockdown. I'll never forget. I just kept, that was the only thing I could do. Every day, wake up, watch TV. So I'm watching some girl sent me this thing. Oh, you should try this thing, Men's Club. I'm like, I'm not watching no Nigerian TV and all that. And I started watching Men's Club. And then the stories now were irritating me because I'm just like, this is such Lagos way. But then his character now stood out at first, because if I remember correctly, he was like the quote-unquote innocent one that was like, oh, I somehow have a sugar mom. And all that. It's like, somehow, it's like, guys, this guy's annoying me. Not so, like, he was annoying me, but at the same time, it's like, this guy's living the dream too at the same time. Like, So
I think the part where he was actually selling you that entire character was the real work. Because I think I also saw the performance from Men's Club first before tracking back to other things he had done before Men's Club and after. So, yeah.
No, so that Men's Club is like when I saw, like, after now that, when I found out, oh, this guy's married, because it was at that conference, like, yeah, I've been married. I'm like, wait, what? Like, then how were you able to play such a single guy? But I'm just like, fair. But let me ask you one more question. Would you say you've traveled to different countries, you've lived in another country, is it hard being married in Lagos?
It depends on the kind of guy you are. I think if you're the kind of guy that I'm trying hard.
Yeah.
I'm trying hard to be politically correct. But it depends. For some guys, living in Lagos as a married man is hard because of the kinds of distractions that exist in Lagos, and just because in Lagos it's easy to find. I mean, love and relationship in Lagos is very transactional. So it's easy to just pay.
We had an episode that just spoke about that.
Yeah, it's easy to just pay your way through relationships and just get whatever you want. But in other places, not so much. I mean, you have to talk your way through.
They're also like, consent, there's rights that you have to like make sure that you're actually exercising.
Exactly. So, and in other places, once they see you're married, then it becomes even more difficult to get through some of these things. Yes. But in Nigeria, Lagos to be specific, it's almost like, no one cares. And as long as, you give them what they want, they can give you what you want.
I think it's a whole book of chapters that that need to be unfolded, because I mean, in the umbrella explanation of it, I'll just say that I guess the reason why a lot of people get married ends up stemming back to why their marriages navigate the way they do, because a lot of us get married here out of a cultural expectation.
True.
I'm 30 years old now. Okay, what are you doing? You should be married. Should be married. Now puts me in a place where I'm doing this as a responsibility and not as a new phase in life that I'm, actually bringing in.
Are you married?
No, I'm not.
Are you married? No, you're not married. Okay. All right, cool. So can I just say this? Can I just add this? That I had, before I got married, there was no pressure whatsoever.
Exactly.
People were even surprised that I actually...
That you were choosing to get married.
Babes were like, oh my God, what the fuck are you doing?
Yes, exactly. No. Be French, be German here if you need to.
There was no pressure whatsoever. My siblings were surprised. They're like, dude, like, is she pregnant or something? Yeah, I mean, there are other ways around this thing. Like, why are you getting married? And they really didn't understand, why I was taking that step. I was the only one who had the full picture.
Yes,
and I'm so glad that I did. I'm so glad that I have a beautiful family. I'm so glad I have 2 lovely kids and a wife that loves me and whom I love. So
this is why I tell people I'm tired of the streets. Man. I'm genuinely tired.
And that's what I say. Like, if you're marrying because you're actually genuinely at the stage, it shows. Like, it shows in how much you respect the marriage, how much you respect your partner, how much you respect your family. And so, like, you navigate life the same way because people get married because of necessity or obligation. When they have the funds for the transactional love that they can find on the streets, it becomes easy to access.
Yes.
And so that way you believe once you have the money.
Right.
Okay, I mean, as long as I'm taking care of you, please leave me to live my life. And it stems from a place where you didn't think you had to cross that phase while you were single.
Right.
But then you decided to just get married and just
I often tell people this, that I wherever I go, I try to speak about marriage and my marriage and speak about how wonderful, it is and all of that. But I'm trying also to paint a realistic picture and let people know that, there'll be challenges.
Of course, it's not easy. Yeah.
There's nothing great ever that comes easy. If it comes easy, suspect it. There's nothing great. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the sacrifice. It would get to your nerve. People, and you know what's funny is the people who you love that would test you the most. So you have to, and it's nothing. So young people say, it's so difficult, man. Like, how do you? But the truth is, there's nothing you have achieved in your lives that you've achieved just by sleeping and waking up. No, you will be hard. You will be tested. That's how marriage is. If you really want to stay married, your choice will be tested. I have made mistakes. I have learned from my mistakes. I have grown, and all of that. It's a journey, and in that journey, you would encounter different challenges. You just have to make up your mind that I will grow through it. I would learn. I would overcome challenges, and I would have fun, which is most important. I will enjoy this journey. I'll enjoy this thing called marriage. You have to make up your mind
that you're ready to enjoy it.
So let me ask you a question now. With you saying that now, you said you have 2 wonderful kids, and that means you've transitioned to that phase of fatherhood now. So what was that transition like from going from husband to father?
Because it does change. I imagine it does change.
Yes. When without kids, you can still be a baby boy,
spend on the things you want for yourself.
You guys want, it's a honeymoon phase. They tell you, well, the first year is honeymoon phase. Then you get into the years where you're ironing out your differences. The first year you can live with them and just be like, but when you go on to second and third year, then you have to iron out these differences. And then if kids start to come in those years, then it heightens the pressure on you guys. But I promise you, to survive it, you have to be selfless. Both of you have to be selfless. And more so the men. Because men are being called into a ministry, and forgive me, I might sound very preachy here, but men are being called to the ministry of leadership. And leadership is sacrifice. It comes with a lot of, when you see a general, the reason a general is a general is not because of these things, not the badges or the laurels, it's the scars. That's what manhood and fatherhood is. It's the scars. You show your scars and say, man, I've been there, done that, and overcame. So that's it. And not many boys are able to make that transition into manhood and fatherhood because of that. It will test you. You have to be magnanimous. You have to be big. Women are beautiful and amazing people, but the way they are wired
is very different.
Very different from the way men are wired. And so it will test your wiring. It will test your makeup, your mental, emotional, and your everything. It will test everything about you. You just have to be quote unquote the man. You have to grow through it, break down if you want to, then get up, get right back up, then repair yourself immediately, because you have to lead. You have to lead her, you have to lead the kids. And it all starts with self-leadership. You have to lead yourself first before you lead your family. And that self-leadership, it starts from singlehood. If you can't lead yourself as a single man, you can't just automatically become a leader as a father or as a husband. It's in the little things. It's in making the tough decisions. It's in standing by your word. It's in the fact that your family can depend on you when you say, look, this is what we need to do, and then doing it. You make mistakes, but then own up to your mistakes. Tell them, look, I'm sorry, I fucked up. I'm sorry I messed up here and there, but I would make amends. I'd redress it. I would try again and try better this time. It's in all those processes. And it's so beautiful because it's a journey of growth. You see, I'm totally different from I'll give you a perfect example, guys. A couple of weeks ago, my wife lost her mother.
Okay, may her soul rest in peace.
Amen. And she was living with us. She was living alone in Surulere before. We live on the island, and we're like, you know what? Surulere is far. You live alone. She's a widow. She was a widow. You live alone with a nanny. Come live with us. We have 2 grandkids. Come help us with the kids. You have kids. You have your grandkids to play with. All of that. And she lived with us right after my second son was born.
Okay.
And she just stayed. Right. My second son is about 1 year plus now.
Okay.
And then she passed away, right? About 3 weeks ago in our house. And this is me being last born of 4 kids. My mom died when I was 5. I'd never had to deal with
the grief of that.
With grief, with losing someone, with just being in charge of a grieving family. I had never done that before. And this is me looking at a dead woman because she died in my house or she passed away in my house, and I had to take leadership immediately. My wife was there in shock. Kids were downstairs. Nannies didn't know what to do. I had to assume the leadership position. What do you do next, Daniel? Like everyone, whether I like it or not, everyone would just be like, okay, provide leadership.
You're now the pivot.
Exactly. And immediately I had to grow overnight. In the split second, I had to be a leader again in dealing with grief, in dealing with a lost loved one, and I had never done that before. Even when we took her to hospital, all of that, blah, blah, blah. They tried to resuscitate her. They couldn't do it. The doctor pulls me aside. My wife was like losing it. My doctor pulls me aside and said, we've done all we can. We're sorry, she's gone. And I'm like, okay, what do I do now? Because I was totally clueless, and he said, well, take her to the morgue, call your family members. I'm like, okay, great idea, and I started to take steps, so that's what leadership is about. That's what fatherhood and being a husband and being a man is about. Leading, providing leadership and learning through that process. In the last 3 weeks, I have learned things that I've never could have learned before if this thing didn't happen.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I can definitely tell you've been tested. Now we know that.
That was beautiful, honestly. Because
I can definitely tell you've been tested. And so the reason we ask these things is because, our podcast is mainly for a lot of our viewers are young men, and these are people who are also trying to figure out who they really are. And so, stories like these help because they only see a facade of you, which is the facade that you are when you are performing, right? Which almost, less than, half the time, it's not your real self, because your real self is, hold on, I need to sort this out, but you're not showing that in the time of performance. So we ask these questions because we need people to understand that, look, there's always a life out of this, and you need to understand that you need to be able to balance whatever life you're showing everybody else and the one that is your true self, right?
Absolutely.
So, but I mean, off the track of your personal life now, and a little back on the career. I mean, you're an A-list actor. We know that if you don't know that, because I know you're going to say they say so. So we know that, and I think everybody else knows that. So, but at what point do you think, has it dawned on you? Let's start with that. And if it has, at what point do you think it did? Where you can tell yourself that, okay, look, my price has gone up. And right now, I'm in the same league with person A, B, C, D, E, who were my mentors even, or were my role models. At what point do you think it hits you, if it has?
I mean, I don't know the exact point you hit me, but I believe in hard work. You know, I believe in just putting on the work and not waiting for, not necessarily waiting for accolades. I believe in process. I'm a huge believer in process.
I think I can actually tell that. Because from the way you even got into the industry, I've never heard anyone go in through the actual 9 to 5. It was a very big, that's very big advice.
Starting from 9 to 5.
Yes, like actually starting, get a structure, understand how it works. And
So I believe in process. I believe in putting in the work and growing through it. At what point did I realize that I was there? I don't even know. I'm not there yet. You know, I'm a growing actor. I know that I'm at a stage in my life where I can say, count top 10, top 5 Nigerian actors in my age category or age range, and I'm there. You know, I know this because I have contemporaries. We talk all the time. You know, you go for auditions, you go for projects, and you know yourselves. You know, and you know, I'm also I'm my own biggest critic as well. So I look at my work, I look at other people's work, and I can, you know, give myself feedback and say, okay, this is what you do, this is what you're doing right, and this is what you're not doing right. You know, so so it's about, for me, I'm constantly growing, I'm constantly learning. You know, I'm constantly pushing myself. Am I there yet? Absolutely not. I'm working so much that I'm having to increase my fees so that I get less work.
Right.
You know,
but then work that's worth the time if it's going to be a lot of time.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, I learned that somewhere, you know, because I was talking to a mentor, and you know, I was saying, I'm working so much, I feel exhausted, I feel burnt out. And the person said, well, then increase your fees. You know, it means you're asking for something that a lot of people can afford to pay you. So why don't you increase your fees? Then you get less work. I'm like, but these people who
will not pay that much.
I won't get people who pay me this much. He's like, okay, why don't you test it and see? You know, and he gave me several stories of people who decided, you know, they were going to only take this amount, and for a while they didn't get
anything.
Work,
but when it breaks through, it breaks
exactly.
through. Yeah,
thank you for that. Yes,
it's funny you say, and thank you for that advice. I low-key needed that advice because I was about
bro,
to
I'm right here.
I was about to ask now, like, how do you find time for yourself to rest? How do you find time to chill? Because even me that I'm young and single, sometimes I'm like, I don't have time at all, and I'm like, wait, so this guy is married, people are married,
still
have children, so
yeah.
How do you actually, one, manage your time, and two, how do you actually take breaks to reset so you have energy for all your projects and people around you?
To be very honest with you, I'm at that point as well where I'm learning to find time. Yes, I'm trying to figure it out. You know, I just told you off camera now that I'm exhausted. I was sleeping on the ride here. But the most important advice I have gotten that I'd like to share is that I need to put in structure. Once you put in structure, then things will fit into that structure, and then you can.
There's a process.
Yes, there's a process to it. You know, if you're going to, I work out, so you need to decide what's the best time to work out. And I believe personally, the best time to work out is first thing in the morning.
I'd say that's...
So you plug that in, and then the rest of your day just
falls
takes shape. You know, plug in time to spend with your kids. Plug in time to power down. Plug in time to rest. You know, when you have that structure and you're disciplined enough to keep it, because there's one thing is structure, but the other thing is being disciplined enough to
actually follow through with the structure.
Follow through with the structure. So that for me would sort that out. I mean, it's a process also to start and then growing to getting used to structure, because Nigeria, I have clients that don't want to speak to management. You know,
they know you. Like, what do you mean manager?
Yes, exactly. Once they hear that you have a management and you need to go through management to get to you, then they're like, no, I don't talk to management. But having a manager,
it's a structure.
It's part of structure.
Yeah, it's a structure.
We need to have that.
I'm definitely trying to do
because it does help. I mean, you're employing him so that you don't have to deal with the mental space of responding to people, negotiating.
I'm a cool guy. I'm a kind guy. I give everyone access to me. Like,
so that even makes you more burnt out than you need to.
Exactly. And my wife had to come in and said, you know, because I'm signed up to my wife's company. My wife has an
agency. Okay,
yes,
okay. All right.
A media company that has an agency wing,
Okay.
and so my management is from that company.
Right.
So she had to force me to be her client because
enough.
because
that was about to be my next question to say in terms of like, how's your wife handle you with obviously you being busy? How does your wife handle that? Because obviously sometimes we say as single guys, there are girls that we try and date or talk to that might not be as understanding. But you now that you're definitely very busy, that your wife is there.
Oh yeah, she had to help me with that. At first, I was kind of skeptical about it, but now I see the value that she brings and her company brings. So I had to submit to it, to that, control or that discipline. I mean, it wasn't easy to start off with, and every day we refine the terms because I'm also your husband. You know,
so again, picking the battles.
Exactly. Because I'm like, we can argue about personal things, but I don't want to be fighting over business with but absolutely, she brought in the structure into my life, and I'm grateful for her. I'm grateful for the structure. Now I have management. Now I'm able to fix in my gym time early in the morning. Also, I get a lot of help from people. My wife, the management company. I also have a therapist as well. Okay. And lots of guys don't like to talk about this.
I was about to even say, can you elaborate more on that? Because when you just said that just shocked me again. I've been suggested therapy so many times, and I know I'm on those stubborn ones. I'll be like, therapy, me, nah.
Listen, so I think it starts with knowing yourself and knowing how best to get help for yourself. I do think that a lot of Nigerians are traumatized.
All of us.
They're walking, living, moving disasters waiting to happen.
Actually.
Getting help / getting therapy is just, one way to deal with it. And just getting the right kind of person to speak to you and to help you through your process can work magic. I'm not saying go and talk to everyone. I'm not saying, just open up to everyone. But if you find the right person, it can help you a lot. My therapist has helped me personally, has helped me in my career, has helped me in my marriage. That it helps. If you need help, get help.
Don't be ashamed about it. There's no shame in doing it.
Don't be ashamed about it. And there are lots of people who won't talk about it, I'm free, so I'm happy to talk about it.
All right.
Get help if you need help.
All right, fair. So sorry, I'm always asking the acting part of the questions. I like that. Yeah. So this brings me back to the Nollywood scene. Now, again, we like to be very blunt here, and again, not intentionally hurting any feelings or whatever, but. And this is my own opinion. Again, you can also, I don't know if you've seen a lot of Nollywood to be able to judge, but I feel like there's a lot of bad casting being done, right? Now, are you of the same opinion? Now, this is, now not saying that it's all just bad casting, but there's a lot of it, right? I mean, I've seen roles that I'm just like, is that the best person you guys could have picked? So now I have two questions for you. One, do you also have that same sentiment? Again, of course, I imagine that, you might be stepping on some toes because, now that I'm going to talk about bad casting, now that person I complained to is going to come. Right. So, but do you think so? You could just even give a broad answer, as broad as you can give or as deep as you can give. And have you had any roles that you were replaced, so to say? Maybe you were supposed to do that role, something came up, or it was between you and someone and they picked the other person and then you're like, really, for this character? Like, you chose him over me? It might not be bad blood for the character, for the actor, but it might just be the person should know better that you're a killer in that role. Then have you ever had those? So it's two questions now. Do you think it's bad casting, and have you ever had that?
So I'll just answer it like this, the Nollywood film industry is at a place where, we are growing and there isn't any structure. Back to structure. There isn't any structure, so we're just navigating our way almost in the blind. We don't know what works.
Some things stick, some things don't.
Exactly. So we just keep trying and seeing what works. And once we find something that works, we just keep repeating it until it doesn't work. And then we find another one. It's like trial and error.
Even from saying that, I can already picture some movies that are all the same.
So what producers in the industry, what they do is they tend to take the easy way out. They need someone for the role. they get someone who just...
They don't have to pay that much.
They don't have to, wait. They can get most value from.
Okay.
And not do so much work. So instead of getting someone that can deliver, you just get someone that just looks the part and has the numbers.
And you shape him into the character.
And has just the minimal delivery, and then you go with that. So what two things are most important, I think, for producers these days that I see?
Yeah.
One is, does he fit the part in your head? And the way I would do it, because I'm also a filmmaker, or the way I would like to do it in an ideal situation is get someone who has the talent, who can really act, right? Then get someone who looks the part. So get someone who can act, that looks the part, and then other things will follow, right? But I think what many producers do in the industry is they get someone who looks the perfect. They don't really care about acting, to be honest.
You have a good number of Instagram followers.
Yeah, exactly. So just get someone that, bad boy, this guy, he looks like a bad boy. Next thing, how many followers does he have? I need to give my film.
Does he have traffic
push,
on his social media?
Exactly, I need to push my film. I can take advantage of his social media numbers. Bam, you put it in. Also, I can't stress. Please, does he have management? Please. No. This guy has too much trouble. Get and put the easiest route to where you want to go to, rather than the route that will give you most value. So that's how it plays out in the industry. And with all due respect to producers out there and everything, sometimes you have to go through the process. Get the raw material, shape it to what you want, make it fit, and then go along with it. If you need to train this guy, if this guy has the talent and then looks
just
the part,
needs some direction. He just needs some direction.
Then you just...
And with what you just said now, he said, I don't really watch Nollywood as much, I'll be honest with you.
You're cancelled.
No, wait. You know me, I said when I met you as an individual, I like you, and then I'll start watching. But the reason I didn't watch it as much is because, like you just said now, there's so many of you guys that are very great actors and actresses. But a lot of times, like you said, is you watch these movies, it's just social media this. But then my question now is, obviously, you may not be able to answer it, but you see as a filmmaker is that you look at other countries now that they will pick somebody from nowhere.
Literally.
Nowhere.
No one knows him.
And that movie can become a number one movie. It's like, you guys, you just said it yourself, we're a copycat league. Do they not look at the bigger picture of how you find the talent, make it together, then boom,
Especially
new movie.
Because we take everything else from them.
Exactly. Because my only issue now with that is because they don't do it in that method. The reason I said I didn't watch Nollywood as much, you get what I'm saying? So I started meeting a lot of you guys personally, is that it seemed like every movie was the same actor. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So can I say something?
Correct. I know that was a trigger. So that's why from somebody on the outside. Because here's the thing: there are two sides I see to it. One, a lot of you can actually act. Like you can actually act. So no matter what it is, it's like, okay, good movie. But then, as a fan now, or somebody that watches now, you tell me now, go and watch another movie. But I just saw him in like 4 movies. That's the same thing. And it's like, it's not like it doesn't happen in America too, because some of these guys, but there's different roles.
Yeah.
There's different things.
And you see them as different people in these different
Exactly.
Yes.
So how do you feel about that, honestly?
Well, I think, again, I appreciate where the industry is. So I give producers flack. Let me give writers flack as well. Some of these writers don't write dynamic enough. It's copy and paste. Just say, fine
and
boy.
Then put a twitch somewhere.
Yes. Young,
relationship,
handsome, 28. Young, handsome, 30. That's all the description they have for this character.
Yeah.
You can do better.
Do a little more.
Writer.
Some background.
Let
me be a person.
Yes, create this character to have substance to work with, so that this actor doesn't go into the role and has to bring himself
and improvise
again. And then another role, 28, handsome himself. Another role, 30, handsome. So it's the same thing over and over again. Okay. And I have to put a disclaimer out there. The industry also is peculiar because abroad they have the luxury of a budget. So the budget allows you to farabale and say, you know what, I'm going to go out there, pick a rough diamond, and then
polish
it. You spend time to polish these guys. John Boyega had to go for training. First of all, he got the role. Then 6 months.
Language training,
mannerisms, had a trainer, to body build him into this role. All of that. If you're learning martial arts skills, you spent. Jimmy Odukoya went to SA, had to learn all the stunts, everything. Yeah. You spend time,
and this is for Woman King, for example.
So we don't have that budget. You hear I'm not going to mention names, but you have a platform who tell you, you have 4 million, go and make your film. And you're looking at this thing and you're like, okay, what do I do with this? But that's and to be fair, they have put that cap on X amount because of the ROI. You don't want to throw in too much into it but then how do you make your money back?
Yeah,
there are only X number of cinemas in Nigeria. There's only X number of platforms. You don't watch Nigerian films. You watch Nigerian films. You don't watch. So maybe in this room,
maybe 3 out of 5.
Exactly, 1/3 of us watch. So we don't have the market just yet. We think Nollywood is great and all that, but we don't really have the market. If we do have the market, to be honest, then we'll have more investors. So sense. That's how it is. Nigeria.
Because I was going to ask. So the ones who've done good, I'll just say a few that I've seen. Obviously, TMC was a YouTube series. And then there's also the ones that have gotten up to Netflix. Would you say then that those ones had bigger budget and that's why they did better? Because I'll give an example, like Blood Sisters for me, I thought was amazing, right? Collateral, I thought was amazing. You understand? So, but these, you could tell from the production to quality.
You need money.
Okay.
The industry needs investors. And I do know that there are some money misruled films. I'm not going to kid you and say that, every time we have money, we've done well. There are sometimes some big budget films have fallen flat, and, but those are some exceptions, But the truth is, to reach a certain height or to achieve certain things, you do need money.
Okay.
Mami Water, a film that has just been selected to be on Sundance, the first ever locally made film to be on Sundance by CJ Obasi. I spoke to CJ, and he told me of his process. He's had to spend money. He shot in Benin Republic. He had to move things from Nigeria to Benin. That didn't come cheap.
I can imagine.
To have a different aesthetic to the usual Nollywood, because what's a Nollywood film? 4 walls. Camera, 4 walls. Bad as it bad, you light it differently, put some nice props, big TV, nice chairs, paintings on the wall.
Then maybe add a dining area.
That's it. But then if you want a different aesthetic, then you push yourself. Say, okay, fine, let's go shoot in Ideri Hills. Yeah. Let's go shoot in Jos, where there are mountains. Let's go shoot in. But with the security situation in Nigeria,
everybody's shy.
Then then you have challenges. Okay, fine, let's go to Benin Republic. Let's go to Cotonou. Let's go to Togo. Let's go to Ghana. Let's look for a different aesthetic. So your film just stands out and looks aesthetically pleasing and different from the rest of them. That's the battle, and we need more money to achieve that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that does give perspective, because I imagine a lot of people are in the dark as to, can these people just do better? You know what I mean?
There's a lot. That's why I said, I only watch it now because the people. But now that we've had this insight, I feel like more people will dive into it. But
please bring money.
But because of time now, obviously, we had to round up. Like I said, these kind of interviews, you see, we can't keep going. This is what we do at Menisms.
We'll just keep talking.
It's a good show. I give you that. It's a good vibe.
Very, very. This question, I just have to, before we round up, or in fact, we'll round up with this. So you mentioned something about roles, right? Now, have you ever had, it's 2 questions again. I always have 2 questions because there are always 2 sides. Have you ever had a role you took, right? You accepted it, but you hated the fact that you were that role. Like, you hated the character, you hated but it was just work that came at the time, and so you had to take it. Now, have you also had a character you've dreamed of? You saw someone else and now you're like, they gave me this. So these are 2 questions.
Of course, it happens all the time. As an actor, you get roles and... I'm also a family man, so sometimes So there are three factors.
Right.
I'm sorry I'm being all over the place, but there
No,
are three
it's good, it's
factors that I consider when taking roles. Number one is it a great story? Number two, can you pay me to be in your film?
Go on.
No, I'm an artist at heart, so money
okay.
doesn't control me. But
All right.
And then number three is, who are your co-collaborators? Who are the people?
I didn't even think.
Who am I acting
working with,
alongside with? Who is behind the camera? Who are these things? So who are your co-collaborators? So those three things are really important to me, along with others. But these three questions are
key.
Are key for me to be answered before I take on any roles.
Okay.
But I'm a family man, and sometimes I'm just like, that money just screams out at you. You need the money, take it. And you would think that, if you can pay me this amount, because sometimes I use money to screen people. I'm like, oh, pay me 10 billion, for this job. And if you can bring the money, I'm like, oh, okay. These guys are serious. Okay, let's go. Let's do it. And then I hurry through the other things because I really need this money. I'm like, okay, this story is not great, but okay, you can pay me. Or I don't know who the DOP is, or I don't know who the director is. Or, but let's go, Sha, you can pay me. And then I end up being in that project, and I'm like,
and you're hating yourself.
My goodness, God, what have I done? And so sometimes I just pray, Father, just save me from this project. Just save me, help me. So there are situations like that I regret taking it, but I needed that money.
So it comes back to your point about what you said about the price going up now, so you can start to.
So that way you can even select.
Exactly. And I've been so blessed and favored that some of all those projects, grace will just cover it, and when they come out, they're not as bad as I thought they were. Yeah.
Why am I just picturing some movies with no names?
All right.
So I think the final one was now. Have you had any roles you wished you had, but they gave someone else? We're like, that role. Or what character? Just, you could give a persona, just a very quick one. Like, for example, Oloture, the role you played Oloture is very, I'm still shocked. So, Kingpin, drug lord, you're the one that's controlling the people that are abducting the girls, or you have your own girls or people. Now, was that a role that you thought you could pull off? Is that something you've always wanted to do?
Oh, yes. I think I can pull off villains very convincingly.
Oh, okay.
Many people don't give me credit for that.
Yes.
They see me and they see Fine Boy.
Like I said, big fan.
Lover boy. And I get too many lover boy roles.
That's a good challenge.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it also puts you in a box because I'm not just my face.
There's a persona that
the performance comes from inside and your imagination. So I'd like people to see me in other roles as well. So when I had that Oloture, I was pleased. I was really excited about it.
Shocked. I was very shocked by the role because, like I said, out of the norm. Wasn't anything we had really seen you in any other movie.
Exactly. And I be Benin boy, so I feel speak pidgin. I know my way around pidgin. So I was really excited about the role. So when I get roles that are very different from who I am on a daily, I get really excited.
Okay, all right, sounds good. So I think, we've run out of time today. So
because of that, now, like I said, we asked too many more questions, but we appreciate you being on the show. Opening up, you dropped a lot of gems. A lot of gems. I feel like if people actually take time to watch the show, you'll get it. Whether you're a young man, whether you're in your middle 20s, late 30s, like there are a lot of things we can all take from this. But thank you for being on the show. This is Menisms again, season 2. As you see, we're starting off with a bang,
Yes,
there's a lot of different things.
Yes, we are.
Make sure you subscribe to all our channels, our Spotify, our YouTube, our Apple Music. Make sure you leave your comments on all the videos we do. And again, this is Michael Scenario.
Yeah, and I'm Muriel Koya and
Daniel Etim-Effiong.
All right, so next time, guys.